The Disneyland Resort shutting down this week. The Walt Disney World Resort shutting down here in just a few days. Domestic parks from coast to coast, as well as Disney Cruise Line and Adventures by Disney shutting down. Disneyland Paris joining that group as well. The Asian parks already closed in an unprecedented closure by the Walt Disney Company as places where tens of thousands of people tend to congregate. They took the proactive step of shutting things down before any guests or cast members tested positive for the coronavirus. The update from Disneyland reads as follows. While there have been no reported cases of COVID-19 at Disneyland Resort, after carefully reviewing the guidelines of the Governor of California's executive order and in the best interest of our guests and employees, we are proceeding with the closure of Disneyland Park and Disney California Adventure beginning the morning of March 14th through the end of the month. The hotels of Disneyland Resort will remain open until Monday, March 16th to give guests the ability to make necessary travel arrangements. Downtown Disney will remain open, and we will monitor the ongoing situation and follow the advice and guidance of federal and state officials and health agencies. Disney will continue to pay cast members during this time, and the Disneyland Resort will work with guests who wish to change or cancel their visits and will provide refunds to those who have hotel bookings during this closure period. You can contact the Walt Disney Travel Company, by the way, directly. If you're affected by this, if you're somebody that has been put through the ringer when it comes to a spring break vacation that was coming up during this time frame that they're going to be shut down, here's a list of numbers for you that you can take a look at. All kinds of numbers for the various institutions that you may have been having a reservation through, from the Disneyland Resort, both the ticket line and the vacation package line, Walt Disney World Resort, the hotel reservation line and the ticket line, and then Disney Cruise Line, their general number to direct you to who you need to get to. Now, these numbers are very important because they're not your typical numbers. What I mean by that is a lot of these numbers are going to be direct to the departments that deal with your particular situation. So if it's about tickets specifically, there's a ticket line. If it's about vacation packages specifically, it goes straight to them. It's not a general all-encompassing number like so many of the numbers that Disney puts on their website are. Those numbers that we are providing to you are ones that go directly to a lot of these various departments, and you might have a lot better luck in that regard getting through to them, whereas as I understand, the Walt Disney Travel Company right now just completely overwhelmed by the tens of thousands of people that are calling them at the moment, Tyler, for some information and some understanding on this.
Yeah, and I've actually heard that if your vacation is more than 2 weeks out at this point, that they kind of don't want to talk to you. So if your vacation is still out there, then I just don't think you need to call quite yet, unless it's during one of these closure times, obviously. Man, I kind of think it's a little bit of a bummer that people have to go through this at all. It kind of seems like they should have some record of transactions and things like that, and they should know who they should just refund. I guess it's a little bit of a different story when the resorts are still open and they don't want to just say, oh well, you're canceled, even if you still want to come to the resort for whatever reason, I guess. So I guess they can't just make a call like that, but it sure is a bummer that people need to go through this. But I think that I think a lot of us are panicking, and I think we need to calm down a little bit. But I also do think that the closure of a lot of these businesses and the cancellation or pushing back of events is unfortunately a necessary evil. And we don't have any way to fight this besides not being close to each other. So if we're going to all get in this boat, let's do it. I think by May, at the latest, I think April, hopefully, but May at the latest, we should be going back to normal. And if you think that it's dangerous to travel still, then cancel your plans. But I think if you don't have a child or you're not around older people on a regular basis, that maybe just wait it out for a while and see what happens, because we're not going to have any answers until it happens. Right. So that's kind of my 2 cents on planning your trip or de-planning your trip, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. And for all those people that were planning a big trip for spring break, because this is, coming right on the sort of start of spring break here, to have Disney shut down during this time really does prove to you that, I mean, this is about health and safety. They're missing out on perhaps one of the biggest seasons of the entire calendar year, and to do this globally is so significant. And to know that, hey, they're doing it for the sake of everybody's well-being. I mean, commendable for sure, and hopefully they'll continue to do the right thing by cast members, as we were mentioning a little bit earlier. What it comes down to is, you're saying you're gonna pay your cast members. Fantastic. Is it going to be everybody? And are you making these cuts, as we've heard now? Potentially college program students being let go early, and they're ending those internships fast because they're trying to make up for these significant losses, no doubt, that they will have.
Yeah, and for anybody who doesn't realize, they're going to be losing tens of $1 million a day. This is a really serious thing. And what I worry about is, we kind of have to do this in a way, but I worry about the economy being impacted so much by this that that's actually going to do more damage than the coronavirus itself.
I'm concerned about that too.
And that's that I worry about, because I've seen a lot of people saying like lives over profits and things like that, but I don't have a life if I don't make a profit. I'm sorry, and that's kind of
that's a good way to put it.
I have to worry about paying taxes in my home and all this different stuff like that. I've got investments, and all those investments are doing real bad right now. Right. So it's one of those things where this is a necessary evil, but we might be a little bit overreacting, just because this could be really detrimental to a lot of people. And again, as I was saying with the college program, now they're going to force all these people to get on airplanes and stuff. It's not as smart as it sounds when you see it on paper.
Sure.
These people aren't going to be a lot of people will stay at home, but people are still going to go to gas stations, grocery stores, movies. Probably, I'm sure people are going to listen. Once we get through a week of this quarantine stuff, I think people are going to start to get real restless, and they're going to get out and do things anyway.
I think so too.
And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have, yes, I still think that we should cancel this stuff, but we need to really be cognizant of what we're doing here, because going too far in one direction is also going to hurt a lot of people. So
yeah, it's interesting to hear that not just here for the Disney parks, but also school districts around the country are now announcing that they are shutting down for the remainder of the month as well. And here you have children, students that are now being sent home to parents that not everybody can work from home. To parents that don't always have that ability to take care of their kids outside of normal school hours. So this is something that I know is going to put even more of a strain on parents that aren't able to be there for their kids. At the same time, I'm concerned that we're getting to a place where with everybody's vacations up in the air, and with the future being so uncertain as to how much more the coronavirus is going to sort of tick upward, what I'm concerned about is how long does this go? Where does this end? And I can't imagine corporate America and businesses around the world really dealing with this for longer than a full month. So I'm definitely thinking that eventually, we got to get back to business somehow, because the world needs to keep moving.
And everybody kind of forgets, I think, like everybody thinks this is going to hurt the millionaires and everything. It's going to hurt everybody, because this, small businesses, they're not able to. A lot of people are living check to check.
Yep.
And when you take that check away, and even for people in small businesses that, they do okay, but they can't just lose out on a month of revenue, and that's going to affect these people for the rest of their lives. And again, I think that it could be a little more wide reaching than Corona could have been, but the thing is we'll never know, because doing this will prevent the virus. I really do think that this is going to curb this. And I think that, when you see countries like China claiming that they're getting it under control and things like that, this is the best shot we have because we didn't take it seriously enough to begin with. When the best piece of advice is wash your hands, how do we not get the virus? Wash your hands. We're in trouble.
Right.
So I get it. We need to close these things down, but we also just, again, need to be cognizant of what we're doing because it's, I don't want to say it's not as dangerous as we think, but it's
all things in perspective, right?
Yeah, all things in perspective. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think what it comes down to is, I've mentioned this before, don't let this dominate your life. Don't let this ruin your life. Don't let this strike so much fear in you that you stop living. That's unnecessary. And I think, again, perspective matters. Context is king. And to know that so many more people are coming out of the recovery on the other side of this. So many more people are coming out on that side than are passing away, and certainly one is one too many to pass away.
Sure.
So I don't want to minimize that at all. But when you look at sheer numbers, right now, I mean, we're looking at almost 70,000 people on the plus side coming out of recovery. Well, after quarantine, after beating this, and I believe that we are on the 4,000 front at this point of people that have passed away due to the coronavirus because there is no vaccine. So I understand that there's fear that we haven't figured out how to stab this thing in the heart, and get rid of it. So there is that fear. But we spoke to somebody here today that has it, who is in the age group that everybody says you need to be very worried because you're a senior. And Carl Goldman ended up telling us that he's feeling good. He's feeling fine.
And he'd go on another cruise.
And he'd go on another cruise. So the moment he gets out, he's going to probably plan another cruise for a little bit later this year. So again, all things in perspective. One of the things I wanted to make sure that, by the way, we updated you on, Garrett, for our Walt Disney World reporter, had mentioned that Walt Disney World is extending out sort of that period of time that annual pass holders have on their annual passes to sort of incorporate this time lost. So as the park shut down, Walt Disney World is extending out the time that your passes will be eligible for visitation. Same thing is happening with Disneyland. So the official statement reads as follows: given the necessary closure, all annual pass holders who have passports that are valid during the closure period will have their passport expiration date extended based on pass type and level of access due to the impacts of the closure. The extended date will be reflected on your passport account prior to our reopening of the parks. Annual pass holders on the monthly payment program will remain on the current payment schedule and continue to make their scheduled payments. These annual pass holders will have their passport expiration date extended based on pass type and level of access due to the impacts of the closure and will not be required to make any payments during that extended period. So I knew Disney was going to do that. I knew that they were going to do the right thing and figure out how they were going to extend out the time that annual pass holders were going to lose, especially here locally in Southern California. A lot of Disneylanders are annual pass holders. So
sure.
That was a big question every time Disney took to social media and said, hey, we're closing, or hey, here's a little bit more information. I saw the line of annual pass holders showing up on social media saying, but what about my pass?
Yeah, which was a little, I think, I'm gonna say you guys are a little crazy. Like there's a little more important things going on right now than worrying about your annual pass being extended. I get you're paying a lot of money. I mean, the pass that I have right now is $2,100. I mean, that's not cheap. So I get it, but also, they got a lot to deal with. We all have a lot to deal with. There's more important things happening right now. I'm glad they're doing this. This is the right thing to do. But to everybody who that was their first question, let's think a little harder next time before we ask our first question.
Right. 13 confirmed cases of coronavirus now in Orange County as of today, 40 confirmed cases in Los Angeles County, and over in Florida, a handful of confirmed cases up and down the state as well. So when you think about the Disney parks being affected by this, sheer numbers, just as this thing continues to tick upward in terms of people that have been infected by it, eventually it was going to happen at some Disney park somewhere if they didn't try and put a lid on this. So whether it be a guest or whether it be a cast member, someone was going to show up, either a carrier or somebody who was exhibiting those symptoms. So it was going to happen. I think we can all agree on that. So taking this move to try and get in there and shut things down early and get people to just take some time away and do that social distancing thing. And by the way, social distancing, something that I've been trying to practice for years.
Yeah,
you know?
hey man,
Stay 6 feet away.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I agree with you. I just feel that, yeah, I don't know. I think we're going to be okay, everybody.
Yeah,
I think we're going to be okay, and I know that it's going to affect some very unfortunate people in a bad way, and I really feel for them. And I know like Katrina has family in Italy that, you know, well, she has most of her family's in Sicily. I don't want to freak anybody out, but she has a little bit in Italy, and you know, they're having a really tough time of it over there. They're completely quarantined, so it's one of those things where we're doing what we can do, and we'll be okay.
Absolutely, yeah. And another note that we wanted to make for you, when it comes to individual tickets out at like Walt Disney World and Disneyland, their statements are as follows for the official ticket position, and that is unexpired multi-day theme park tickets with unused days or date-specific theme park tickets will, with a start date on or before March 31st, will automatically be extended to use any date through December 15th, 2020. If you are unable to visit by December 15th, you may apply the value of a wholly unused ticket toward the purchase of a ticket for a future date. Florida resident Discovered Disney tickets may be used through July 31st, 2020, and guests who have purchased tickets for Disney After Hours, Disney Villains After Hours, and Disney Early Morning Magic, the special upcharge events from March 16th through March 31st, will be automatically refunded. So that was something that I was getting a lot of questions about on our various live streams throughout the week, where we've been updating people on what's going on throughout the parks and across the globe when it comes to the Disney shutdown. Is, well, what about these special events? What about these tickets? Like we pay a fortune for these upcharge events. Well, what's going to happen? It was nice to see Disney within 2 days came out with all the statements of, hey, here's how we're going to take care of things, especially given the fact that we've heard multiple times that a lot of people in the organization didn't know things were going to get shut down as fast as they did.
Yeah, I think the only person that knew they were going to shut down that quick was probably Iger, honestly, you know, and his team of people.
Yeah,
I guess Chapek probably knew.
probably him too.
But you know, it's a crazy time. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like this. I went through the Northridge earthquake, and that was maybe kind of the closest thing I can think of to this, but we didn't have an earthquake this time. So it's just a weird feeling. The roads are empty. I got here so early today. There's nobody out, which is a good thing, you know. Yeah. And I'm going to go home after this and hang out and not touch anybody. So
It's interesting, you know, only 3 times in Disneyland's history have they shut down for any sort of period of time due to outside events.
Right.
The last being, of course, September 11, 2001. So, you know, knowing that Walt Disney World had to shutter a few times for major hurricanes that have blown through out of the safety and caution for everybody that might be visiting during that period. Knowing that they have had to shut down for sort of natural disaster type situations, I think nobody really counts those. But you look at reasons why a park would need to close down. Disney does everything possible to ensure that parks can run as smooth as possible and that nothing interferes, that the real world never interferes.
Right.
And, you know, the whole idea of a Disney park is that you get captivated, is that you get taken away, is that you you know, you run into your fantasy world where all that nonsense on the outside doesn't affect you. And now I know that people are taking this very personally because this is their happy place and the real world is seeping in.
And you can't take it personally. This is what real life is. Real life, you know, sometimes you want to go and have fun, but real life gets in the way. That's kind of how just every day is. You know, I would like to play video games and watch TV all day, but I don't really get the opportunity to do that. We've got so much going on. So, you know, it's the same thing with Disney. I feel that people need to realize that this is not a personal attack on them. This is not, oh my gosh, how dare this coronavirus ruin the sanctity of Disney? Disney it'll be there. It'll still remain. And yeah, it's there for fun, but sometimes we have to get serious.
Yeah.
And you know, we were supposed to go to the Secret Life of Pets AP preview today, and I was talking to our rep through emails, and she was saying even on Thursday that they were still considering doing the AP event, even though the park was closed.
Oh, interesting.
And then clearly that didn't happen. They released an email yesterday saying, no, it's not happening. But, that's kind of another one of those events that people didn't have to pay for this. You just need an annual pass to get to this event. But it's one of those events that, I was a little bummed out that we're going to miss. But Secret Life of Pets will still be there afterwards.
Absolutely,
and it'll still be just as beautiful. So,
Yeah,
we can't let ourselves be upset and just that this is ruining our lives or anything. It's not going to ruin our lives. We'll be okay.
It's a temporary setback.
Yeah, that's what I keep saying over and over again. We'll be okay, and that's what I fully believe. So
absolutely. Well, Disney Cruise Line, as we've mentioned here a handful of times, also canceling their sailings through the end of the month and into the first week of April. So if you were planning on going on a Disney cruise, go ahead and check for those cancellations on the DisneyCruiseLine.com site. Once again, why don't we show you some of the numbers that you can reach out to if you had a vacation that you were planning, if you were going to Disneyland, Disney World, or taking a cruise. You can call Disneyland Resort for ticket purposes, 714-781-4636. If you were looking at vacation packages for Disneyland, you have some questions there, 714-520-5060. Walt Disney World Resort, if you have hotel reservation questions or needs, 407-939-1936. And for tickets, 407-566-4985. Disney Cruise Line, 800-951-3532. This is something that I know for kids especially, they probably don't understand, this invisible enemy that's out there that's crippling society at the moment. They probably don't understand what it is or how it's necessarily stopping everything from happening. Probably a lot of disappointment in a lot of children's eyes when it comes to a Disney vacation they were about to take if they were going on a spring break trip. We don't have kids.
No.
But one thing I was going to say is, we certainly empathize with anybody that does, because this is a hard thing to try and explain to children.
It is, but I think that's kind of one silver lining that we have of this whole epidemic or pandemic or whatever you want to call it, is that, yeah, it's going to be hard to teach these kids these things, I guess, immediately, but what we're doing is preparing them for the future, preparing ourselves for the future. Now we know that this, I don't think that we ever were like, oh, there's going to be some massive virus that can come and knock us all out, I don't think we were prepared for it. And I think now the silver lining again, in the future, we can have a little more preparedness. And that's I think that the main takeaway from me in the happiness sector of our lives is we can at least be happy about that, hopefully.
Yeah, no kidding. If you have any other questions concerning your Disney resort vacation, your Disney experience when it comes down to your trip, both websites are now equipped with special FAQ sections that are dedicated to this. So if we haven't touched on something that you're thinking about or want to know, go ahead and head on over to the individual website associated with whatever resort or experience you're about to do. Again, Adventures by Disney, canceled. Disney Cruise Line, canceled. Disneyland Paris, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Anaheim, and World in Orlando. All theme parks closed, all experiences canceled for the foreseeable future into the first week of April. The theme parks being closed until March 31st and then being reevaluated as to whether or not they will be reopening April 1st. What an April Fool's Day that will be if they don't.
LOL.
But we will certainly see what happens in the coming days. Make sure that you are subscribed to us on YouTube at The Kingdom Report to ensure that you're kept up to date. We are doing live streams almost daily now, giving you everything that has transpired, as this is a really big developing story again in modern times. When was the last time you knew of a pandemic shutting the world down?
Never. The last time we had a pandemic was the H1Z1 virus,
right,
and
swine flu.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people forgot about that pretty quickly. So I'm not trying to downplay this. Again, please don't be angry at me. I'm not downplaying this, but I think we're going to have a very similar process once we get past this quarantine thing.
Well, crossing my fingers.
Yeah,
absolutely.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.